Hi guys, I'm Beata from horoscopesandreadings.com, and today I would like to make a video about Saturn, square and opposition to Venus. This video will be about hard aspects, so don't get me wrong, because conjunction is not included here, okay? So, first of all, I am very curious if you have any personal experiences with this aspect, or if you had a relationship where you had this aspect, or because I'm not sure if this aspect is handleable in a relationship. Because we all know that this is hard aspect, but not just one hard aspect, because this combination is considered to be one of the most difficult combinations couple can have and experience in a relationship. So that's why I'm really curious how it went for you eventually. Okay. So when we have this aspect, square or opposition, we really have to think why this is happening in the first place. For any aspect you have in Synastry, there is always a reason why this is happening. And we have to be especially careful with this one, because this aspect can bring a lot of pain into your relationship, and that's why if I were you, I would definitely try to find the root cause event why you have this aspect in Synastry. This can be found usually in your birth chart, so really you should explore it, okay? We all know that Venus is the most important planet in relationships, right? That's why we have to really search Venus in Synastry. That's why Venus plays a significant role in any relationship, especially love relationships. I really pay attention to Venus, because Venus in its core represents love, beauty, your values, what you value, what you don't value. Venus also represents things you find the most beautiful in your life. Venus really represents satisfaction, overall satisfaction in life. On the other hand, Saturn, to me, is the most non-romantic planet we have, right? This would not be that bad, but with Saturn in relationship, especially in hard aspect, there comes a lot of sadness and coldness, because Saturn is really cold planet, right? So it is really difficult to expect some warm feelings from Saturn. Saturn also represents, in this case, losses, separations, tears. Saturn also represents heartbreak and heartache, because this is really nature of Saturn, and how this role will be playing out if you have this aspect in Synastry. Now, I like to put emphasis on this, because with Saturn aspects, it's very tricky. We typically don't feel these hard Saturn aspects from very beginning. What we really feel at the beginning is that this relationship is developing quite slowly, because Saturn is planet which is very patient, and Saturn really needs plenty of time to open up, okay? So at the beginning we really don't feel what this relationship will be about. We might feel that, Saturn person is a bit reserved or aloof, but in a good way, because at the beginning, Saturn can really be the type of guy who is our best friend, right? So we are just friends at the beginning, and this friendship, let's say, lasts longer than it's usual, and only after quite some time it will develop into relationship. So overall it looks quite good at the beginning. So if you are in early stages of your relationship, you may experience this. With squares and oppositions from Saturn, the trickiest part is that the longer a relationship lasts, the more you will feel the Saturnian part of life. So Saturn person will be the person who will act as an adult in this relationship. And Saturnian nature, especially with hard aspect, is that Saturn will set up new boundaries for Venus person. Saturn will put limitations, restrictions, limits for Venus person, and eventually Saturn person will be really dissatisfied with overall Venus behavior, because Saturn will really think that it is really Venus person who is acting foolishly and childishly in this relationship. On the other hand, Saturn himself will consider himself to be very mature in this relationship, and he will think of him that he got it all figured out, and it's really Venus person who needs let's say a parental figure in her life, because she is just crazy and she really doesn't know how to behave. Okay, so Saturn person will like to tame her, and this is where trouble begins, because Venus person of course can be and is completely normal person, but who deserves this, right? That's why these lessons are very painful for Venus, because a Saturn person will come to the point that he will withhold love to Venus, okay? And that's why this is so painful for her. But he will try to explain her that she really needs some help with her expressions in public, and eventually he can teach her these lessons. But what is really painful here is that he will tell her that her cuddles or some, let's say, romantic gestures are not appropriate to do. These all are terms of this relationship, but we are not done yet, because what I have learned with this aspect is that it is indeed really Venus person who is suffering in this relationship, and it is really her who feels this effect the most. So eventually Venus person will start to have insecurities, of course. Who would not, right? And another very important theme of this relationship is Venus self-worth. What I have learned from this aspect is that we can find this aspect in Synastry where a Venus person is the person who has some self-worth issues and self-love issues. You know, this is really pattern here. So when I see this one, I still have to go back to Venus birth chart because there is that pattern that she has some own self-worth issues, and that's why she has attracted this type of partner who is here to teach her these lessons of self-worth. But of course these battles are very hard won for her. So this is the major theme. Lessons are typically linked more to Venus person than to Saturn person, because don't forget that Saturn person or Saturn planet is the outer planet. So you know, this person can be pretty much different to what I have said about him here, but this is how he plays out in this interaction. And the real reason, or the bottom line here, is that he is here to finally teach Venus person lessons of self-love and self-worth. Of course, Venus person could heal this stuff anyway without needing Saturn person, but typically in life we really need partners for this, because we are not somehow capable to heal this stuff on its own. But if he see this interaction with someone, we really have to go deeper and start to heal ourselves. To me, this topic is really huge, and I could talk on and on about this aspect, but of course we have to consider whole chart, 2 birth charts, then Synastry chart, and then I would still go to composite chart, because this video is not about composite chart, but just one sentence. If you have this aspect in composite chart, it is even more difficult than in Synastry. Synastry to me is more day-to-day interaction, dynamic of the couple, but composite is really that outcome of the relationship. So really I would love to hear your stories, what you went through if you had this aspect with someone, because what I forgot to say is that sometimes this relationship, for this relationship to happen, it is impossible to happen, because there are some other circumstances that will not allow this relationship, you know, to even be as a relationship, because there are some private issues on Venus side or on Saturn side. So sometimes these people, for these people, it is impossible to be together, okay? Of course, this aspect can lead to broken heart, because this is, let's say, primal example of the aspect of broken heart. So these aspects can be tough to live with, but it is not impossible, because if you have your Venus in Earth sign, that means in Capricorn, Taurus or Virgo, you are much closer to Saturnian energies. So I would still probably give it a chance, but I would, you know, have to see your whole birth chart. But if you have Venus in Earth signs, you are somehow used to these more, you know, grounded, practical energies, and you really don't need some romantic, you know, love in a sense. Okay, so hopefully you like this video. Hopefully you find it helpful. If you do, you can subscribe to my channel, because I'll be back next week with more Synastry and other video.